The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
There goes that man's jock strap.
Oh my God, did you see that?
America's team? Yeah, right.
Oh, baby, it's a big day in sports.
There's nothing like battling it out with your teammates all season long to go win a championship.
Green Bay's got it this year.
Huge move for them. I think it's going to be a game changer.
We have a lot to talk about this busy week in the sports world. Welcome to the In a League of Their Own podcast.
The In a League of Their Own podcast is brought to you by Golf Kicks. Screw your shoes. By Canadips. Rep Sports. By Smooth My Balls. And by Streamer Loot. Check out the In a League of Their Own merch line today. Welcome to the show. Let's see what Austin and Collin are diving into today.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show. Today's episode number is 74. So we're going to kick that off with bringing us back to 1974 when my boys, the Philadelphia Flyers, had won the last Stanley Cup that they have won. They beat the Boston Bruins 1-0 on home ice, winning the series 4-2. So I thought that was something pretty cool to mention, since that's might be the only time that hopefully I get to see them win a Stanley Cup in my lifetime. That's all I got to say. It's been a long time. So, yeah, going to kick it over here to the NFL. What do we got going on here?
Yeah, so one of the big things to mention in the NFL today is that quarterback Josh Allen agrees with the Bills to a 6-year, $258 million extension, 150 of that guaranteed. So to be expected there, Josh Allen is one of those guys who keeps moving up the list every year in that top 10 of quarterbacks. Yeah, they got to an AFC championship last year. Obviously, they have high aspirations coming into this year as well. So good to see that they locked him down to keep him with the Bills Mafia.
Yeah, he's now guaranteed the most money out of any NFL quarterback for the length of his contract, which surpassed Patrick Mahomes' deal, since that was for 10 years and this is for 6. Now you have Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield also looking to get contract extensions. What do you think their number kind of looks like around this deal? I think this deal, I forgot what it was broken down, and I think it was like $45 million a season, I think it was, making him the highest this season as well, like a little bit above Mahomes, and then a little bit above, or like $5 million above Dak Prescott, and then it goes from 40 down to like 36 is like the next handful of guys. Where do you think Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield fit in there?
So I could see the Browns giving Mayfield the next highest paid contract. Lamar Jackson, not so much. Just because of how much money the Ravens stick into their defense every year. I don't know if they'd be able to afford to make Jackson the highest paid, nor do I think he's at that point where he deserves to be the highest paid quite yet. Yes, he has an MVP, but he kind of had that one breakout year, and the rest of the years he's been in the league has been kind of just slightly above average as a quarterback. Yeah, one playoff game in 4 or 5 years that he's been there. But I don't know. I'm just not. I mean, obviously, it's impressive to see him with the rushing yards that he has, basically putting up running back numbers next to quarterback numbers. But I don't know. I'm just not quite there yet with Lamar Jackson. I feel like he has to have another breakout MVP-esque season before he'd be in the conversation for being highest paid. Baker Mayfield, on the other hand, I definitely think that he's at a higher level than Lamar Jackson right now, not by a lot. If I had to put Baker Mayfield ahead of him, I'd say 1, maybe 2 spots ahead of him on the QB list. But I think that Cleveland is just they finally found their quarterback for the first time in almost 2 decades that brings that energy, that winning culture to Cleveland. So I feel like they'd go out and make him the highest paid, not necessarily because they think he's the greatest quarterback in the league right now, but because they realize we can't let this guy go, because who knows how long it's going to be before we get another decent quarterback. So that's kind of the mindset I have in Cleveland, where they're gonna get him paid just so that he stays.
Yeah, my input on this is I think Baker Mayfield will probably get somewhere a little bit higher than that $36 million a year mark. I'm probably going to say like 38, 39 million a season. And then I think Lamar Jackson, I think the Ravens are going to match exactly what Josh Allen just got, or if not a little bit higher, just due to the fact that everything Ravens related is trending up. They finally got him a wide receiver, a couple wide receivers he hasn't had in a long time. Like, look at Baker Mayfield. He's got OBJ and Jarvis Landry. They're one of the top wide receivers in the league. They have a tremendous tight end. They got awesome running backs. Lamar Jackson kind of was on his own for the first couple of years in Baltimore, and he got an MVP, basically being the only superstar on that offensive side. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Baker Mayfield, but you have to look at the pieces around him as far as value to a quarterback. Like, he has a lot more help as far as looking better and whatnot, especially in like both teams. This season's going to be a great dictation of where I think both of these guys are going to go as far as their career, like what's going to be said about their career, because they're both handful of years in, they have some experience. They both now won a playoff game. They both, have some primetime big experience in games. I feel like both teams are going to give, I don't think they're going to be the highest paid. It makes sense for Baltimore to give Lamar Jackson everything because he is younger than Baker Mayfield and he's got a little bit more longevity and kind of does a lot more on the field. So I feel like they're going to give the kingdom to Lamar Jackson, and where Cleveland, how many big players they have on their team who are all signed to big money deals. I don't think they're going to have the capacity or the room to, I don't know, make Baker Mayfield that high paid. I mean, they could do other things with them. I mean, what's more important, winning or getting paid a shit ton of money? And I guarantee you they both take winning.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing to add to Lamar Jackson too, that kind of, I as an owner of a team looking to extend a player, is Lamar Jackson's ability to run is a blessing and a curse for him, because nowadays running backs have very short careers in the NFL. And because Lamar Jackson is kind of that mesh between a quarterback and a running back, he's going to have a shorter career unless he kind of pulls the reins back a little bit on running as much. Because
they got him some running backs though, finally.
Yeah, but for how much he runs, and how small he is, he could the Ravens could make him the highest paid quarterback in the league, and he rolls out on a 3rd and 3 and dives for the pylon and gets hit by a 300 plus lineman, career over, and they just dished out all that money for him. Whereas,
that could happen to anybody on any play.
Well, yeah, but more of your pocket passers there's not that added risk to where that might happen, especially
like Baker being small. He's got to roll out all the time, so who's to say that he doesn't get fucking smoked one time?
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm just thinking of Lamar Jackson's just he rather than a lot of quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield, Aaron Rodgers, some of these other guys that roll out and run. It's because the play fell apart and that's their only option, to where there's more designed runs for Lamar Jackson. So there's going to be more opportunities for him to get hurt, I guess is what I'm saying. Especially with how small he is. He's definitely not. I mean, like Cam Newton, he's a pretty mobile quarterback, but he's big. I would definitely say that Cam Newton could take a hit more than Lamar Jackson could, just because
Absolutely,
of how big.
But Cam Newton is just a lot slower and gets hit, where Lamar Jackson barely gets touched.
Yeah, I guess.
Because that's the one thing that he's really done well in his career ever since that MVP season. He started to run less and less and less. He's throwing the ball more. I feel like he's understanding that there's times to run and then there's times to throw the ball. And I feel like that's just a part of learning the game, with a guy with that much talent to be able to do that every single time. Why wouldn't you? If it's wide open and you could take 5 yards, why wouldn't you run?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess if Lamar Jackson kind of follows in Newton's footsteps, so where later in his career he becomes more of a pocket, stays in the pocket a little bit more, I guess that makes sense. But so long as stays agile and young, I mean, I guess go for it.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the quarterback position, you got nothing to lose. You always have top quarterbacks coming out in college that can step in and play. Like, even your backups that are on your team, they're NFL caliber players. That's why they're in the NFL. So I feel like you got to roll the dice.
Yeah.
You got to win. You have to win. And it was funny because Josh Allen's extension just happened today, and then all of a sudden, Baltimore Ravens activated Lamar Jackson back off the COVID list after today. So looks like he's all right. Give me the money. We know what it's at now. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then speaking of rolling the dice, moving over to staying within the AFC North, but moving over to the Steelers, receiver James Washington is reportedly set to approach the Steelers for a trade request. So kind of see what happens with that. I know who was it? I think it was Stephen A. Smith talking about a couple places that would be good for him to land. But I mean, this guy's young, again, a slot guy, which is becoming more and more valuable to teams nowadays. I feel like you have a lot of big bodied, tall receivers to where you don't have as much slot guys to choose from anymore. So if he does end up going through with this trade request, I definitely feel like there'll be plenty of teams interested in him. Not sure exactly what he's displeased with in Pittsburgh. Maybe he's realizing the fact that once Big Ben is done this year, that teams might take a little bit of a step back before they take a step forward. So he wants to get to a winning team before the team he's on falls off the cliff. So, but we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, that's a very interesting situation there. It's going to be interesting to see. Yeah, there's, like you said, that position is kind of making its comeback. It was big maybe 7-8 years ago where every team had a speed, quick guy that would slot receiver. That kind of went away as guys started throwing the deep ball. Now that's coming back. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that situation. Just like it is very interesting what is going on within the Las Vegas Raiders building and the New York Giants building right now. The New York Giants have had their third player retire in the last 4 days after seems like Joe Judge has kind of shocked the culture, and people are basically saying, fuck this. I don't want to deal with this anymore. And it's a lot of older guys. But yeah, there's really nothing else. Like, nothing is being spoken out about inside the building. So it's going to be interesting to see. Usually as the season goes on, these people will start coming out and speaking out about what happened. So hopefully we get some details more about like what's happening in the Giants building, but you can also suspect that it's a culture shock type of issue with a head coach coming in who wants, he wants to win and he wants to change the culture. They were lacking the past handful of years, and he doesn't want that to be the same for his team. And any new coach coming into an organization, you got to make some changes. And that's one thing that he really did. And then that's kind of like where the Las Vegas Raiders are as well. They've had 5 front office people resign and 1 player retire within the last week. And it seems where there's smoke, there's usually fire. John Gruden is known to be a very difficult person to be around and work with, as he's got, I don't even know how to say it. He's like full of energy, but it seems like he could be like so pissed off all the time. Like, he looks like he's such an angry guy. And one of the guys who has retired, he was with the team for 30 years and he ended up stepping away. He just said that relationships just weren't what they were anymore. And yeah, it's interesting to see, 2 teams having all this kind of going on. COVID now is coming back, it's people are signing deals, people are getting hurt, all this. And then you have, I'll wait to see if you have that for one of your topics here. But yeah, I just think that's stuff crazy here, that 2 teams are basically imploding. And week 1 of preseason is right around the corner.
Yeah, like you said, Gruden's been kind of one of those guys full of piss and vinegar his whole life. Just one of those guys who are just always at 100% energy. They never come down from that. So I could see how that could be difficult to be around, especially at the professional level, to where every guy, well, I mean, not even at the professional level, college and high school as well, to where not every athlete is coached the same way. Like, to be a good coach means this guy likes to get yelled at and be in his face for motivation. This guy likes to just be talked to. This guy likes to be left alone and figure out on his own. And if you're a coach that yells at everybody, who doesn't talk to anybody, who like you just have one road to your game, I mean, not to say John Gruden's a bad coach, but he's got to find different ways to get through to his players. By yelling at all of them all the time obviously isn't going to get through to them. So, especially with the front office too, especially guys who aren't even on the field, they're like, I just fucking press buttons on a computer. Why the fuck you screaming at me? Like, I could see one of those conversations going down. So, yeah, not a good time for an organization to kind of miss some pieces, like you said, with week 1 of the preseason right around the corner here. I just saw it here. I don't know if it came up. Yeah, it just came up a little bit ago. That's why. Xavier Howard, talking about him earlier this week and last week, requesting a trade out of the Dolphins. Head coach Brian Flores said that they have no plans to trade him. So, looks like kind of another Deshaun Watson situation folding out, to where he's just there but doesn't want to be there. There haven't been any teams, like a list of teams that come out and said, oh, we want him. It's just a matter of the Dolphins giving the okay from their end. So we'll kind of see what happens with that. Given that he is still super young in his career, he doesn't have that. He doesn't have enough behind him to where I could see him holding out for a year and coming back the same, to where he get as many looks next year. So I definitely feel like he's going to play this year. We'll kind of see, I guess, see how that situation folds out.
Yeah. It's not good when you have a player that wants to leave and you have a team that doesn't want to get rid of a guy. So usually, I don't know, things, it's going to meddle. And eventually one day, the GM might wake up on the other side of the bed and say, all right, today's the day that we're actually going to do it. So I feel like he should just keep putting the pressure on that he wants to get out of there, and hopefully that they listen to him. I mean, that's all you can do is keep asking when you're the player. Show up, do your job, and just keep asking.
Yeah. Go ahead. I have one more. I have one more point, but I'll let you
go ahead. No, go ahead. I have 2 more. So
all right. So yeah, last night the NFL season did finally kick off with the Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio. The Steelers won the game 16-3. Kind of some takeaways from the game watching it last night. Cowboys first round pick Micah Parsons made an early impact with a fumble recovery. But the most impressive showing last night for me was Steelers rookie punter Presley Harvin, who had his first punt inside the 2-yard line, a line drive punt, which led to a muffed recovery, and another inside the 10. So I know punting isn't the most flashy thing for people to watch, but it's fun to see, regardless for how hard it is to do something like that and do it well as a rookie. So Pat McAfee would be very proud.
Yes, he would.
Yeah, that's all I had for the NFL.
All right, here. I have 2 more things here. One is the new 90-day COVID-free protocol that the NFL has just admitted. So players who are unvaccinated that get the virus basically are treated as a vaccinated player. So they are test-free. They don't have anything for 90 days. They don't have to wear a mask or anything for 90 days. And so this is just a big question mark to me. Now, does this incentivize people who are unvaccinated to just go get COVID so that they don't have to get tested and don't have to get the vaccine? Like, that's like those people who see people out at a bar who are coughing and sneezing and want to drop 15, 20 pounds and go share their glass, go take a sip out of the glass after they're done with it or whatever, because they want to lose the weight and they're just like, fuck it, I'll just deal with the sickness. Like, it's I don't know. People do some pretty weird things for some, whatever reason may be. And I just think that this may incentivize people to do that. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. The whole COVID thing with the NFL is still kind of a mess with how they keep basically daily adding more and more protocols and rules. And they keep trying to fix a mess by making it worse somehow. I don't know. Like you said, it's weird that there's almost a benefit to getting COVID for these players, which makes zero sense. But the way that protocol or that policy is worded, it kind of makes sense for them too. So I don't know. It seems like it's gonna get worse before it gets better. I'm sure it's gonna boil down to one big mistake that's gonna affect the team or affect a certain player before the NFL is gonna be like, oh shit, yeah, we gotta come back on some of these policies and make it right. But of course, they're not gonna admit they're wrong until shit hits the fan.
Yeah, absolutely. And then my last point here, Jimmy Graham had spoken out about the NFLPA and how displeased he was a couple days ago. Now Tom Brady stands up and shares his voice, as well as a whole bunch of other stars in the league. One of the quotes was, after teams' values increased 14% last seasons after revenues were down through all the teams in the NFL, where's this money going? They want to know where the money is going, especially after the salary cap deal was signed, or the NFL salary was established one day prior to the media deal getting signed for $110 billion that was shared throughout the whole NFL. Players want to know where this money is going. And it's really interesting. Now that there's 17 games as well, players want to get paid more and they're actually being paid less. So players' money is starting to go down and teams' values are starting to go up exponentially. And players are starting to ask questions. They're wanting to know where this money is going. And I feel like it's a very valid question. Because a lot of people I feel like could be paid a lot more money.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you think as a team value goes up, as more revenue comes in, this and that, it just trickles down the list. Obviously, the players being involved in that. So somewhere right after the front office, the line's cut off and the players aren't seeing any of it, which doesn't make any sense.
I don't even think it's the front office though, because Pat McAfee brought this up on his show right before he had to leave with AJ Hawk, and they were wondering the same question, like what account / whose account / who has access to this account, who knows where this money goes to, like nobody, like who is in control of that, like is it the team, is it who is it? And also the fact that a lot of these NFL teams now are starting to turn into like NFL college campuses where they're taking all of this money, saying that they have no profit, they didn't make any money, but yet they're building a $500 million building right across the street, So it's going to be very interesting. I feel like a lot of these teams are going to start trying to become that college type atmosphere, hotels right there, gambling right there, all connected to where you kind of like a cruise where you show up, you get a little key card, you buy everything with your one little key, the whole time that you're there doing all these activities. Like they mentioned Green Bay is ahead of the curve, and they did a great job by doing this whole title town thing and doing that whole thing. It's going to be very interesting what that blossoms into, especially how they just added those apartments and they just added all this other stuff. So it's really going to be interesting to see where this money ends up going if it's not going into the players' pockets.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, kind of with the COVID thing. I feel like it's going to get more messy. It's going to get worse before it gets better. That's just when you have an organization like the NFL, who, like we've said time and time again, is basically their own government. They're going to do what they want when they want until the actual government comes down on them or the players strike and they have no money coming in because no games are getting played. But
yeah, it's going to be something crazy like that because the Cowboys now are up to their values were $6.5 billion. They went up 1.3 billion over the past season with no fans in the stadiums, and they lose an average of $75 million every single home game is what they claim to have lost last year during the game. So how do you get $1.3 billion when you're losing $70 million for 8 weeks? Because that's half the season. So that's 8 times 7 is 56.
that's $500 million.
Yeah, that's $500 million. So you're losing $500 million, but you're gaining $1.5 billion. Like, how does that make? That makes no sense.
No.
And I'm glad people are asking questions, especially now that Tom Brady has voiced his opinion in this because he's the NFL's golden child.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have a bunch of guys jump up. We're like, yeah, it's like the one guy in the room that's like, oh, I have a question, and then all of a sudden everybody else has a question because they're like, oh, if he spoke up, then I get to speak up. It's kind of one of those situations.
And he's always been that person, you never really have heard anything out of his mouth his whole entire career.
No,
The
he's been quiet.
He put himself into is stuff that he really believes is important and could be potentially world changing. And him entering his name into this conversation after kind of Jimmy Graham and these other guys started this, now that his voice is in the conversation, I feel like you're going to see a lot more players. And I feel like you might get a little bit more done now that you have Tom Brady, the GOAT, leading the charge of this whole thing.
For sure.
That's all I had for the NFL. Other besides a little quick mention of Tom Brady, he will be. He did get an invite from Peyton Manning to be in his section for the Hall of Fame ceremony, his induction this weekend. So he will be there. I think that's pretty awesome. As you know, one of the greats handing it off to the greatest of all time. So
yeah, it's awesome. It's can't remember who else was in that. Oh, didn't Joe Buck? Didn't he get into the Hall of Fame too?
Calvin Johnson.
Well, for like because they have so many players, but then they always have coaches and executives. And I remember right when I turned on the game last night, all the guys were like, "Oh, congrats, Joe!" And there was like some guys who had like pre-made videos congratulating him and stuff that they were showing. I didn't know if
it's 6 players, 1 coach, and 1 who it is Peyton Manning, Calvin Johnson, Charles Woodson, John Lynch, Alan Faneca, and Drew Pearson are the players. Coach is Tom Flores, and the contributor is Bill Nunn, who's a scout for the Steelers.
That's a pretty stacked Hall of Fame this year for players. Holy crap.
Yeah, and rumors have it that a handful of Packers will be in the house for Charles Woodson.
Makes sense. Yeah, Charles, he's another one of those guys you kind of forget about until you see his name brought up once in a while as far as what he did for that organization.
Especially for the Raiders, dude. He was a beast.
Mm-hmm.
And then John Lynch, one of the greatest safeties of all time, arguably.
Yeah. I saw I think it was last night. There was like a compilation of all of his hits. It was just like, oh my God, I forgot how hard that dude freaking hit.
He laid the wood. Yep.
Yeah.
How many
he wasn't a big guy in his first couple, like 2 or 3 years of his career. He was a pretty small guy, and he was just laying out dudes.
Yeah, he wasn't that big as well. He was small and fast, dude. He would hit guys going so fast, where I think that's what brought the pain.
Yeah.
He laid out a hand.
It's like a beast.
I always loved watching him hit guys, just like Ray Lewis. Every time somebody was running into him, they were getting smoked.
Yeah. It's like a bee sting. You don't know what happened until after it happened. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, then jumping over to the NBA here then. Again, couple more signings. One to mention is the LA Clippers re-signing Reggie Jackson to a 2-year, $22 million deal. Again, one of those young studs. Obviously good for the Clippers to keep him. He's obviously got a lot of potential, especially being, I think it was only his second year. I know he wasn't a rookie, maybe a second or third year. So yeah, great for them to keep him. And then another player making a homecoming, Andre Iguodala, agrees to return to the Warriors after being gone for 2 seasons. He declined his player option with the Miami Heat. I believe the Heat.
There ain't no room for him anymore.
No, the Heat, the Celtics, and I think one other team other than the Warriors were interested, but the Warriors step in and bring Iguodala home. So it's a great move for them.
Yeah, big move for them. And then some more big moves out of the East here. Andre Drummond sees the 76ers as a great fit. It's going to be interesting to see. Did he end up signing there? Is he there? Is he there, or is this him wanting to go there?
Let me see, because I remember seeing a little bit on that earlier.
Because I know it was in talks if it was going to happen. I don't know if it actually happened or not.
It doesn't say. It just says Drummond sees 76ers as great fit despite previous drama with Joel Embiid. So
yeah, I was looking and it didn't say because he technically
yeah, it is. And
went through?
Andre Drummond's surprising decision to join the 76ers in free agency and
There we
become a
go.
backup to Joel Embiid. So
there we go. So yeah, Danny Green signing 2-year, $20 million deal with 76ers. Andre Drummond going there. They're loading up. And I think Ben Simmons is going to ride the pine until he takes a deal to get the fuck out of town.
yeah,
I think they're forcing him out of town basically at this point.
he's forcing himself out too, actually, because that's another one of the points I had is Ben Simmons is reportedly cutting ties with the 76ers organization. He has been reportedly ignoring phone calls from both teammate Joel Embiid and the front office. So
He'll probably just
he doesn't want to be there. Yeah, he doesn't want to be there either. So Ben Simmons is not going to be in the 76ers uniform this coming season. Whether another
is he
team
under contract still?
that I don't know.
I'm looking. He signed a 5-year, $177 million contract with the 76ers. So yeah, he's stuck with the Sixers, dude.
He did that
last 20. Yeah, in 2021, he did that last year.
Oh,
so he's stuck 100% through the end of 2024, 2025.
He's stuck because either the 76ers are going to have to buy out his contract, which they're not. They're not going to be like, this guy's not worth about a contract. If another team picks him up, they're going to have to foot some of that contract to help him get out of that contract from Philly. And I guarantee no team out there is going to be like, oh yeah, he's worth over $100 million. We'll help pay that. Like, no, he's either riding the bench or Shanghai Sharks, here we come.
33 million is his cap hit this season. Then it goes up to 35, then it goes up to 37, then it goes up to 40. So the longer that they keep him, the more that he's gonna hurt them if they're not gonna play him. Yeah.
So it's smarter for them to get rid of him sooner than later.
Exactly. And that's why I could just see them just cutting him.
Yeah.
Cutting him and not having to give him shit.
Yeah. Well, aside from whatever he's guaranteed.
Yeah, guaranteed money. Looks like, unfortunately, for the 76ers, all of it was guaranteed money. So
they were all in on that guy. Oh, fuck.
They were all in. Yeah. Including the whole contract, guaranteed, and an annual average salary of $35 million. So they're going to be cutting checks for a long time.
Yikes.
The only way is to buy him out. Yeah, that's the only way.
Yeah.
Or you get another team to want to take on that huge contract. Like I said, if he can rejuvenate his career and go to a place where he's actually going to get a lot of playing time and a chance to become like the face of that franchise, like of that team, who knows if he gets a shot, maybe if he goes to Portland and he could help Dame out there.
I mean, or for the meantime, just send him down to your farm team. Make him earn his way back up to the NBA.
Yeah, but at that point, if he doesn't show up and you still got to pay this guy the money, then what?
Well, I'm sure somewhere in his contract he has to show up. Otherwise, he owes the organization money. Kind of like the whole situation with Rodgers, where if he doesn't show up, or if he didn't show up, he would have owed so much money per day.
Yeah, I don't know how the NBA works because the NFL is really weird like that because they find players for so much shit, dude, where none of these other leagues really do.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting, I guess, to see what is going to happen here.
Well, you could pull a Kyrie and just every other day, I won't be there for personal reasons, and that's just what he says every other day. But
oh my Christ. And then in his contract notes, he can, if he makes all NBA team, oh, never mind. He failed that. Last season, if he would have made one of the All NBA teams, he would have gotten a bonus of 190 million. If he made third team, 196, second team, and 203 if he made the first team. Total 28% triggered of his cap, 29% that would have been triggered in the first team. So he would have made a fuck ton of money if he would have made one of the All NBA teams last year, but he didn't because he sucked.
That's
Jesus. Yeah, they had him for $6 million.
They
The
what?
Sixers, the first year that he was in Philly, like because they drafted him,
Yeah.
But their first deal that they signed him to was a 4-year, $26 million. And then they re-signed him to a 5-year, $177 million. And then the guy says, "Fuck you." Gets paid. It says peace.
I mean, to be fair though, the Philadelphia organization was just kind of shitting on him.
He's only 25
Yeah.
years old, and he's got the same agent as LeBron, so he'll find a deal. Something will happen.
Yeah. Then the last NBA point I had is Team USA routes Australia 97-78 to advance to the gold medal game against France. France had a nail biter with Slovenia, edging them by 1 point to give Luka Doncic his first loss in international play. He was 17-0 going into that game. So,
and he had a triple-double.
Yeah, and he had a triple-double. So he'll still have an opportunity for the bronze medal, but I feel like it would have been a more, I don't know. I feel like it would have been more fun to watch Luka versus Team USA to see how that would have went down.
Yeah, but still, to get his country their first medal of all time, I still feel like it's pretty significant game for them.
Yeah. Well, it's not done yet. That they got to play Australia, but yeah.
And then last two things that I have, Julius Randle agreed to a 4-year, $117 million extension with the Knicks. That team is in the mix. Last season they kind of had some momentum cooking during the middle of the year, and they kind of lost that as their playoff hopes went out the window. Who knows how well they're going to bounce back this season? Joel Embiid or Julius Randle won the most improved player, so right?
I think you're right.
Let me check. Yep, I was right.
All right.
Let's go. My brain's working today. Yeah, so they see a lot of hope out of him. He's a young cat too. So that team's looking, to make a push, just like the Washington Wizards are. They're getting Spencer Dinwiddie in a sign trade deal. He signed a 3-year, $60 million contract. So it was funny. I saw a picture of the Nets, all their rookies that they had in 2019, like their young stars that they had in 2019 before they cut bait with everyone and got Kyrie and Durant and Harden. All those guys are now worth over $400 million combined. They all signed huge deals. They're all very good players. And the Nets, spent all that money to get knocked out in the second round.
Yeah. It's crazy that a team that you used to have all left and
are all really good.
Yeah. I feel like that. Oh, that sounds like the Green Bay Packers. Bring some guys in, make them really good players. Oh, all right. See ya. Go get paid. Go win games and get Super Bowls.
Yeah. Hopefully, though, that's changed now that Rodgers hopefully had some input.
Yeah. So then moving over to the MLB here. I thought you were gonna add something. It looked like you were gonna say something.
Oh no.
Oh, okay. Okay. So for the MLB, Joey Gallo in his first game as a Yankee delivers a home run to give them a 5-3 win over the Mariners. Last night, the Brewers were off, but Wednesday they wrapped up their series with the Pirates, winning the game 4-2 and taking the series 2-1. And tonight they kick off their weekend series in Milwaukee against the NL West Giants. So that'll be a really good series. The Cleveland Indians, soon to be Guardians, aren't going anywhere anytime soon as they sign a 15-year extension at Progressive Field, along with a $435 million renovation. I'm sure a decent amount of that money is going to go into removing the Indians name and putting the new name on, along with obviously whatever you're going to spend $435 million on. Sounds like a lot of money, but for these stadiums nowadays, I feel like that money goes out the window pretty quick. And then lastly, the U.S. Is guaranteed silver, as yesterday they take down South Korea 7-2 to advance to the gold medal game against Japan, who they did lose to in the quarterfinals. So a little bit of a revenge game here on Saturday. So yeah, that game will take place tomorrow night. And yeah, great to see first year baseball. The U.S. is at least going to walk away with a medal.
Yeah, it's awesome to see. It's very, just hopeful that we got a lot of young kids coming up here that hopefully are going to get involved in the game and potentially want to keep going, And then I just have two things here really quick. One, I still can't believe they're called the Cleveland Indians. The Cleveland Indians get a 15-year lease agreement plan. They're planning a $435 million worth of renovations to the ballpark to make it a super center type of deal.
I literally said that like 30 seconds ago.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Where was I?
I don't know. I was like, oh, he's got more Cleveland Indians news. I'm like, the only thing I can think of is the thing I said. The Cleveland Indians have a 15-year, $435 million renovation project. Like, that sounds familiar.
Oh, that's hilarious, dude. I don't know. Must have just spaced out or something. I don't know what happened there. What? That's all I had. Oh, yeah, that's it.
All right.
Unless did you mention about Trevor Bauer?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll just mention that really quick. His administrative leave is now been extended again through August 13th. So seems like every other day it's being extended like another 2 or 3 days. So yeah, I don't know how long this is going to linger.
Supposedly with this new administrative leave extension, some pictures came out or between some texts showing proof of the black eyes that he gave that woman. So I don't know if that's new evidence or if they're just reiterating that, but
in Photoshop too, you'd have to prove that it's not.
Yeah.
Anything over the internet now is so hard where I'm sure they got tech people looking at the, get into it, figuring this whole thing out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Did you mention Scherzer as well?
I did not.
Yeah, he won his debut last night with the Dodgers. He struck out 10 Astros.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And that was it.
All right.
Yeah, dude, I can't believe I fucking didn't even hear you say that. I don't know where I was. But yeah.
All right. Over to hockey then.
Over to the NHL here. Not a whole lot going on. New York Rangers agreed to 1-year deals with 3 restricted free agents. The Islanders signed one of their top defensemen to an 8-year contract. Really, other than that, kind of nothing has been going on. Just still more heated debate between Jack Eichel and the Buffalo Sabres front office on his whole neck, how they're going to deal with his neck issue there. And yeah, that's kind of it. Just, I guess I'm going to save that for my, I'll save that. 2 things I'll have for Feel Good Friday then, because it's a pretty awesome moment. So
sounds good.
Yeah, that's really all in the NHL. Not a whole lot going on.
All right. Well then, I guess we'll just jump into Feel Good Friday then, because mine is usually we kind of been ending our episodes with the Olympics, but mine is related to the Olympics. So we can just jump into that then.
All right, take her away.
All right. So for my Feel Good Friday story, we have Ryan Krauser wins the gold medal for the men's shot put and dedicated his win to his grandpa, who had just passed away a week before the game started. Ryan had a piece of paper on him just before the medal ceremony that said, "Grandpa, we did it, 2020 Olympic champion." So awesome to see that. Krauser picked up a shot put for the first time in his grandpa's backyard, so it's only fitting to see it all come full circle to where Krauser wins his second Olympic gold medal and actually the first gold medal for Team USA track and field at the Tokyo Olympics. So, yeah, great. It was fun to see watch that last night. Given that I did shot put in college, it's always anytime I can get my eyes on the screen, just because track and field as a whole is not on TV very much, let alone like shot put, discus, hammer throw, or some of the less flashy events compared to like pole vault or high jump or run or track events. So always fun to see those. And yeah, great story for Ryan Krauser to dedicate his win to his grandpa.
Yeah, and then sticking along the lines of the Olympics, that was my first Feel Good Friday point here. The A team, April Ross and Alex Kleinman, they go on to win a gold medal last night for the women's beach volleyball. She becomes the first American and women's volleyball player to win a gold, silver, and a bronze to run the Triple Crown, basically, of the Olympic circuit. They went 7-0 in the tournament, and when asked, kind of that same whole thing's coming full circle. Her mom had passed away from breast cancer, and April Ross's mom passed away from cancer in like 2001, and gave her a necklace, and she always wears that necklace every time that she plays and all the time. And the kind of that funny thing, how that shot putter picked up the shot put in his grandpa's backyard. Her mom signed her up for volleyball camp, and she wanted to quit after the first day and said that, "Oh, no, I like to play soccer." And she goes, "Well, you've made a commitment, just write it out. And at the end, we can, at the end of the however many weeks this camp was, you can reassess your situation." And look where she ended up on the gold medal stage last night. And so that was pretty cool. Her talking about how her mom, she always feels like her mom's out there with her when she's playing, talking to her, asking her what she should do in certain situations and stuff like that. So thought that was a really awesome moment. And then kind of stick with in the fields, Winnipeg's center Pierre-Luc Dubois, who got traded from Columbus to Winnipeg. He's changing his number from number 13 to number 80 after Blue Jackets goalie Elvis Merzlikins was the one that was hit by the firework and ended up passing away from chest trauma. He ended up speaking out about it, and he said that one of the main reasons was that he saved his son, he saved his wife, and he saved him from being hit by the firework. The goalie, 24-year-old, just jumped right in the way, wanting to save his team. And yeah, just an incredible moment for somebody to, it's something bigger than him now. Like, that whole thing is bigger than him, and he's going to continue to hopefully do his career, play out the rest of his career in honor of Mattis Kleminkas. So thought that was a cool moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I still can't believe that happened where and I didn't know that he had jumped in front. I thought it was just kind of like a scramble situation and he just got caught in the crossfire. It's even more, I guess, meaningful now to know that he did it to save other people.
Yeah, I guess it was going at a deck full of people, and he was in a hot tub, and he jumped from the hot tub to get in the way of blocking it from hitting all these people with their little kids and stuff. Like, he jumped in the way basically and took it to the chest for who knows how many people would have been injured. He took his life. He lost his life, saving how many, who knows how many people.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all I had for today. I guess one thing to mention with the Olympics is kind of the track and field kind of shitting the bed the last couple of days with, I can't remember names, but for the events, 110 meter hurdles, USA was projected to take first. He had like a 2:10 second lead, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in a 110 meter race, that is a lot. He had that gap over the qualifiers and trials and all that. So he was heavily favored and he ends up taking third, barely. So that's a gold medal that the U.S. ended up missing out on, as well as in the 4x1 relay, the USA team heavily favored to be on the podium, end up taking sixth in their heat. because it goes by the two heats. They take the top two from or the top three from each heat and the next two best times. So they weren't even able to be in the conversation for the next two best times because they were third best after the top three in their heat. Um, so yeah, just two events there. Usually, or because we were talking about how USA was behind in the medal counts, and we were talking that when track and field comes around, that's where they're going to make some of that back. And there's a couple medals right there that they're missing out on. So yeah, it's kind of interesting this year. I mean, as much as you like to see the USA run away with it every year and be dominant, it's nice to see it kind of be close down to the wire and make things interesting as we're winding down here.
Yeah, and I've heard two different things. I'm kind of confused now. Is it off of total medals or it is off of golds? Because I've heard two different things.
It all depends on how you want
Because
to look at it.
Hearing the announcers when they talk about it, they talk how the U.S. is dominating because we had 90 something and the next closest was 70 medals. And it's just like that's 20 medal lead. Like that's a huge lead. But then as far as golds, it's like we're behind by like 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it depends how you look at it. I mean, I don't know.
Because being in the top 3 is, it is super impressive, but also being number 1 is that much more impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Because like China and the U.S., we have about the same about the same amount of athletes competing in the games. So total medals, we're dominating them. But as far as winning first, they've got us by a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we've got to have the most athletes, like probably out of most of the countries, the U.S., China, Russia, Japan, Italy, like the big countries. We've got to outnumber all these like Chinese Taipei, these little tiny countries because this year was the most medals won ever there's 88 countries that have won a medal, which is the most ever. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Normally they said it's between like 20 and 40, but this year it's up to 88 different countries that are winning medals. So sports are evolving. They've added all these new sports and stuff, which is I actually watched speed climbing the other night and I was like, holy shit, this is awesome.
It was like, holy shit, look at that wall. So fucking zip right up it. Yeah.
And then speed walking. I don't know if you got a chance to watch
No,
that.
I didn't. I know we were talking about that before the game started. We were kind of poking jokes at it.
Not that fun to watch. Half the guys were like, when you got bunched up in a group of people, guys like started fucking running. Like it was weird because you're supposed to have your legs extended, full leg extension until you pass it past your other leg. One foot's always got to be on the ground. All these guys are wearing diapers, dude, and literally just shitting their pants while they're walking. It was absurd. Yeah, dude. Like literally you could see poop and pee running down some of their legs.
How long is this race?
31 miles, dude, of straight walking. Speed, like giving her, like, so if you have anything in your stomach, just the movement that you got to do must, because the guy who was supposed to take first, who actually in the last games that they had, because they added like the super long distance one now, they had the original speed walking, but like they added this crazy distance one. And this guy actually, Pat McAfee show actually was talking about it. This guy was in the lead at the last Olympics and then beelined it for the bathroom and ended up not winning. Same thing happened this time. He was just going and he was the only guy that straight up went to the toilets and everybody else just kept giving her. And yeah, you could see their like shorts and stuff. Like they definitely wear diapers when they're doing this. But yeah, it was insane. It was absolutely insane.
That's weird. It's got to be something with the movement because look at like triathlons or marathons or just these long ass bike races. Those people aren't shitting themselves. At least it doesn't look like they are.
Yeah. Well, and they're there's skinnier people where the speed walking, anybody can walk, it's not the most athletic people, people that can walk fast. I don't know. It was very strange. And then just hearing the McAfee show talk about it, how they were getting pretty graphic when they were talking about it. And I was crying laughing. I was like, oh my God. Cause I thought the same exact thing when I was seeing this. I was just like, like you're broadcasting this to the whole entire world, guys. Just full sprint walking with fucking piss running down their legs. It was absurd. It was very, I guess, different to watch. It was yeah.
Wow. All right.
Yeah,
well,
interesting way to leave Friday.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's one way to end an episode, but yeah. So then, thanks everybody for stopping in, listening to today's episode. Again, appreciate everybody who's kind of helped our podcast blow up over the last week or two here. Getting a lot of watch time in, getting closer and closer every day to getting partnered with YouTube. So we really appreciate that. Be sure to go check out all of our other socials, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, you name it, we're on everything. In a League of Their Own podcast. Usually taking clips from our episodes, putting them on there, finding funny meme stuff, breaking stuff that happens outside the podcast. You can find it on there. Our audio episodes as well, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, anywhere that is associated with Anchor, you can find us there. Again, we appreciate the 5-star ratings, help us move up the charts. And yeah, hope everybody has a great weekend. I know tomorrow we're going to be laughing our ass off. We're going to be down at 5 Serve in Milwaukee watching Mr. Joe Rogan on the stage. So I know we're both looking forward to that.
Yeah, and then we will not be doing a show next Friday. So we'll see if maybe we can fit one in for you guys on Thursday or Tuesday for you guys. We still haven't figured that out. But yeah, we will not be having a show next Friday. And yeah, just want to let you guys know.
Sounds good. Well, everybody have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend, everyone. See you Monday.